Good day to everyone. Welcome to this video. I am Aryan Trace Valdez, and today we're going to talk about masonry construction techniques. The last time we talked about masonry construction techniques, we learned the different patterns like running band, Flemish band, and stuck band. But today we're going to talk about how they differ from each other, what are their strengths, and what reinforcement methods are needed to use in them. Now, we need to know the laying techniques. What is laying techniques? So laying techniques, specific methods, and procedures used to place and band individual masonry units like bricks, stones, or concrete blocks. Ito is always associated with mortar. Yung mortar is the one they use to glue bricks together, stones together, and also concrete. While the image doesn't show any actual reinforcement, we can discuss how the different banding patterns might lend themselves to our necessities, different approaches to reinforcement, and how their structure affects strength. And now we have running. So we need to remember that running is the simplest and most common band. It only consists of lengthwise bricks and vertical joints between bricks. Dahil nga nakikita natin na napakarami yung vertical joints, ang running band ay mas magbe-benefit sa mas frequent or mas maraming horizontal reinforcements like ladder or truss mesh, para ma-prevent natin yung cracking along those weak planes. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na hindi natin kailangan ng horizontal reinforcement. We also need vertical reinforcement sa mga corners and intersections. So ang running band, sila yung mga ginagamit natin sa residential buildings, garden walls, landscaping, interior, brick veneers, or paving and patios. Next, we have the common band. Common band is also called the American band. This band features courses of stretches with a header course, bricks laid with their short and facing out, regular intervals like that. The header courses help tie the wall together laterally. So when we say laterally, it is a one row that has long side. Pagkatapos, meron ding sa right above niya or below it, meron ding short ends of the bricks. So looking sideways, meron siyang straight rows of either short and short and short, then long side, long side, long side. So that laterally. Sabihin, ang common band ay kailangan natin ng horizontal reinforcement. Ang pagkakaiba lang natin dito sa running band is that mas slightly further apart siya compared doon sa running band. Pagkatapos, pagdating naman sa vertical reinforcement, parehas lang sila ng running band. Pagkatapos, ang common band naman, ito yung ginagamit natin sa mga residential exteriors, historical restoration, garden and decorative walls, and also non-load-bearing walls. Next, we have English bands. This band alternates courses of headers and stretchers. The head joins the stretcher courses centered above the stretchers and course below. This band is known for its strength. So nakikita natin is, meron siya mga headers. Pagkatapos ng headers, meron naman siya long bricks, alternate bricks. So yung alternate headers and stretchers na to is nagka-create siya ng very well interlocked wall, offering good inherent strength. So the robust interlock could potentially reduce the need for frequent horizontal reinforcement compared to running band and some less demanding application. Vertical reinforcement would still be important in English band. So this band is used in load-bearing walls, engineering projects, and traditional buildings. Next we have So next we have Flemish. Here, makikita natin yung mga headers or yung maliliit na bricks ay nasa gitna lang siya ng mga mahahabang bricks. Similar to English band, ito naman is the stretchers, alternating headers and stretchers in each course create a strong and well interlocked structures. The potential for horizontal reinforcement might be comparable to slightly less than a running band in certain scenarios. Of course, vertical reinforcement remains important. And lastly, we have the stack band. So stack band is a purely decorative band, where bricks are laid directly on top of each other with continuous vertical joints. It offers the less amount of structural strength of its own and typically requires additional reinforcement. So dahil nga meron siyang continuous joints, ang stack band ay merong napakaliit na inherent lateral strength. Kanina napag-usapan natin kung ano nga ba ang lateral. It almost always requires significant reinforcement, both horizontal and vertical. So dahil nga pantay-pantay lang sila, wala silang patterns, parang pare-parehas lang talaga sila. Siyempre, mas kailangan natin ng mas marami o mas madaling reinforcement doon sa stack band, both vertically and horizontally. So, ang stack band, sila ang ginagamit natin sa mga modern architectural features, interior designs, and non-loading bearing walls. Ngayon naman, pag-uusapan natin ang tungkol sa kanilang pagkakaiba sa kanilang mga strength. So, ang English at Flemish generally considered the strongest inherent bands due to excellent interlocking of headers and stretchers in alternating courses or within the same course. They distribute loads effectively. So, next is Common. Common offers good strength due to the header courses tying the wall together laterally. Its strength is generally better than a running band. Next is running band. It provides moderate inherent strength. The continuous vertical joints are potential weakness against lateral forces if not addressed with reinforcements. And lastly, the stack band has the least inherent strength due to the lack of overlap and continuous vertical joints. It relies heavily on mortar strength and any added reinforcement for stability. So that's my part. Thank you.
These are the testing methods for masonry materials. The first one is the flat jack testing method. So flat jack method works by creating a slot or cut in masonry typically along a mortar bed joint. The next is inserting the flat jack. Then the flat jack will be pressurized using a hydraulic pump, gradually increasing the pressure until it is restored to the condition before the cut. This method directly measures the existing compressive stress present within the masonry structure. It is useful for determination of stress gradient present within masonry structural elements such as walls and columns. The second testing method is the impact echo testing method. In this method, you will tap a steel bar that will generate stress waves that travel through the masonry material. It can be used to accurately measure the thickness of masonry walls to locate internal defects such as crack, voids, and honeycombing. The next method is the impulse radar testing method. It uses electromagnetic waves to assess masonry structures by identifying voids, cracks, wall thickness, structural composition, and moisture content.
The next testing method for masonry materials is infrared thermography. This non-destructive test is conducted to determine subsurface delamination in masonry structure. This test is also used to detect the internal voids, cracks in masonry structures. Infrared thermographic method gives fairly accurate picture about the condition of masonry elements inside and can be effectively applied for larger surface. Infrared thermography is a way to check for problems inside brick or stone walls without having to break them to open. It uses a special camera that sees heat because damaged areas like cracks or hollow spot have different temperature than the rest of the wall. The camera can create a picture showing where these problems are. This is helpful for checking large areas quickly and getting a good idea of the wall condition. Yung infrared thermography, yun nga, siya yung nag-check ng problems inside the brick na hindi mo na kailangan na bakbakin yung masonry na brick, which is may special camera siya na mag-check kung ano nga ba yung lagay ng isang masonry doon sa base sa temperature. Next, borescope method of masonry structures entity. Borescope method is used for commonly concrete and masonry structures and also used for steel structural elements. A borescope is used to look inside inaccessible or small voids. The borescope can be used to gain information of the depth of the outer layer of bricks or natural stones, and it can provide information of the filling materials in between the arches. It may also be used to examine the mortar between bricks or natural stone. So, ang borescope is like a tiny camera on a flexible tube. It's used to look inside hard to reach places in buildings, like the spaces between bricks or inside arches. This helps inspectors see how deep the bricks or stones are, what's filling the gaps, and how well the mortar, which is yung mortar, the glue holding the bricks together, is doing. So, ganun po ka-helpful ang borescope sa masonry. Yung borescope, helpful siya sa masonry kasi nga, yun nga, malalaman niya kung ano yung problema sa loob ng isang masonry na hindi mo na kailangan din bakbakin. Ganun siya ka-helpful, and yun, nalalaman niya yung gap between yung glue, which is the mortar, sa brick. Ganun po siya ka-helpful, and nalalaman niya yung gap.
Hello, I'm Markin Lucchio, and I will be discussing quality control in masonry construction. So, quality control refers to the systematic process of ensuring that all aspects of masonry work meet predefined standards, specifications, and guidelines. So, ang quality control ay isang process para ma-ensure natin na nasa tamang specifications, standards, and guidelines ang mga ginagawa natin sa masonry. Para mapanatili nating safe, matibay, at mas makatipid tayo sa mga projects na gagawin natin. So, itong overview ng key aspects ng quality control. Meron tayong 8, material selection and inspection, adherence to standards, proper mortar mix and application, inspection of workmanship, ensuring structural integrity, quality control of joints and movements, curing and protection, and lastly, documentation and testing. So, let's start with material selection and inspection. Ensuring that all materials such as bricks, blocks, mortar, and reinforcements meet quality standards. This includes testing materials for strength, consistency, and stability for intended purpose. Adherence to standards. Following establishment standards such as those set by ASTM or American Society for Testing and Materials to ensure that materials and construction practices are in line with industry requirements. Next, proper mortar mix and application. Controlling the mix ratio of mortar, ensuring that it is mixed to the right consistency and applied correctly to the bind and masonry units. Inspection of workmanship. Regularly inspecting the workmanship during construction to ensure that masonry is laid correctly. with proper alignment, bond, and spacing between bricks or blocks. Next, ensuring structural integrity. Monitoring the installation of reinforcements such as steel bars or mesh to ensure the structural stability of the masonry work, especially in load-bearing walls or areas subject to stress. Quality control of joints and movements. Ensuring that joints are properly spaced or filled when addressing issues related to expansion or construction of materials, which can impact the structural performance of the building. Next, curing and protection. Proper curing on masonry units to achieve maximum strength and protect them from environment factors such as moisture, freezing, or drying out too quickly. And lastly, documentation and testing. Conducting regular testing of materials and construction elements, such as compression tests on blocks or brick samples, and maintaining records for quality assurance.
So good day everyone. My name is Giancarlo Eliap from Group 1 and I'm here with you today to discuss what is masonry in structural applications and sustainability in masonry. So first things first, what is masonry? So masonry is a construction technique that involves stacking building materials like brick, stone, or concrete to create structures or walls. So masonry in structural applications. So meron tayong 3 examples ng structural applications ng masonry. So ito yung residential buildings, commercial and structural structures at infrastructure. So first is yung residential buildings. So yung masonry is used for walls, foundations, and decorative elements. So example nito sa residential buildings na gumagamit ng masonry ay bahay kubo. Yung pinaka-common na examples na lang nito is yung bahay kubo or yung tinatawag na nipa huts and also yung mga modern houses dito sa Pilipinas ay gumagamit ng concrete hollow blocks or CHB para sa walls. So yung CHB na ginagamit ay isang form of masonry. Then sa may foundations naman, yung specifically yung mga houses na prone sa bagyo at earthquakes ay often utilized reinforced concrete masonry for strength and durability. So it is important for the safety of the house and yung mga nakatira dito. So at lastly naman, yung decorative elements. Ang examples ng decorative elements sa masonry ay yung brick accents or pattern block work. Sa mga ginagamit yon sa mga facades at fences natin. So next naman is commercial and institutional structures. So dito sa commercial and institutional structures, ito yung mga buildings na, for example, is schools, hospitals, and offices where stability and durability are crucial. So dito sa Pilipinas, yung mga school buildings at hospitals ay usually gumagamit ng reinforced concrete masonry for their walls at structural framework so that yung mga material provides good fire resistance which is crucial for safety sa ganitong types of buildings. The stability for multi-story is also important. So kung sinabi nating multi-story, ito yung mga companies, yung mga high-rise buildings, ganon. So ito ay kadalasan nakikita sa mga urban centers like Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao. And yung mga ganitong mga types of buildings ay crucial yung stability at durability. Kaya gumagamit sila ng reinforced concrete masonry techniques. So next naman natin is yung infrastructures. Buildings, tunnels, and retaining walls utilize masonry for their structural capabilities and longevity. So examples nito is yung bridge abutments and piers are frequently constructed using reinforced concrete. It is a type of masonry. So yung retaining walls sa mga roads at yung mga mountainous areas ay gumagamit rin sila ng utilized concrete blocks or poured concrete para ma-hold yung back soil and prevent landslides. So, especially important during the rainy season. So, yun yung importance ng paggamit ng con- um, pag-utilize ng concrete blocks. So, next naman natin, so yun yung tatlong structural applications ng masonry, yung residential buildings, commercial institutional structures, at yung infrastructure. Next naman natin is sustainability in masonry. Masonry is a sustainable building material. It is recyclable, energy efficient, and can withstand weather extremes. Masonry provides energy efficiency, long life cycle, lower life cycle costs, and resilience following natural and man-made disasters. Masonry is a restorative material with a low impact on the environment. Existing masonry structures can be improved to minimize carbon emissions from buildings. So yung section nito is we're discussing the environmental benefits of masonry. So first, number 1 natin is yung recyclable. Masonry materials like bricks and concrete can be crushed and reused as aggregate in new construction or road base. Ito yung sinasabi ni ma'am noon na pwede tayong gumamit ulit pwede nating i-recycle yung mga nagamit na concretes. Example nito is yung mga na-demolish na mga structural buildings na yung concrete na nagiba doon ay pwede nating i-process ulit at saka i-use as a component in new concrete mixes or as a base material for road construction projects. So to put it simply, yung mga yung reused na concrete ay pwede nating gamiting aggregates ulit. So energy efficiency naman is we're talking about masonry's thermal mass. It helps regulate indoor temperatures, reducing the need for excessive heating or cooling. So ito, yung example nito is concrete walls in houses and buildings can absorb heat during the day and releasing it slowly at night. So ito is it helps to keep interiors cooler during the hot Philippine climate. So yun yung isang benefit ng masonry sa sustainability ng bahay or yung gagawing bahay. Yung walls na gawa sa masonry ay pwedeng i-regulate yung temperature. Pwedeng heating or cooling. So, yung long life cycle naman, durable masonry structures require less frequent replacement. It reduces embodied energy associated with new construction. Well-constructed concrete or block buildings last for many decades, even withstanding the challenges of typhoons and earthquakes. So, next naman is yung long life cycle. So, pag sinabi nating long life cycle, ito yung mga durable masonry structures that requires less frequent replacement. So, yun yung sinasabi nating long life cycle. Matagal siyang, kumbaga matagal siyang masira. Example nito is naulit. Next naman natin is yung lower life cycle costs. So reduced energy consumption for heating, cooling, and lower maintenance contribute to lower overall costs. So sinabi ko nga kanina na yung masonry ay nagre-regulate ng temperature ng isang bahay pag ginamit sa walls. So yung initial cost nung pag hindi ka gumamit ng masonry ay higher than some lightweight materials. So yung the durability and lower energy bills associated with concrete block or poured concrete houses can lead to lower long-term costs. So yun lang. And next naman natin is yung resilience following natural and man-made disasters. So masonry structures, especially reinforced ones, can better withstand events like typhoons and earthquakes. So yung after strong typhoons, yung concrete buildings ay usually mas maganda siyang gamitin kaysa sa mga lighter structures made of wood. Siyempre, 'di ba? The inherent strength of reinforced concrete masonry provides better resistance to wind and seismic forces. So next, masonry is a restorative materials. So yun na nga. Using locally sourced masonry materials can reduce transportation emissions. So yun yung example is cement, a key ingredient in concrete, is manufactured locally. So yung locally produced na concrete ay nagmi-minimize ng environmental impact associated with long distance transportation of building materials. So last is existing masonry structures can be improved to minimize carbon emission. So retrofitting older masonry buildings with insulation or energy efficient windows can improve their performance. So example is yung older concrete buildings in the Philippines could be retrofitted with insulation on the exterior walls or with reflective coatings or reduce heat absorption and lower coding costs. So, yun lang po ang report ko. Thank you.
So here are the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages includes durability and longevity, fire resistance, thermal mass, low maintenance, aesthetic versatility, sound insulation, and moisture resistance. The disadvantages includes high initial cost, labor intensity, weight and foundation requirements, moisture absorption, susceptibility to cracking, and limited flexibility. First advantage is durability and longevity. One of the biggest advantages of masonry is its exceptional durability. Masonry materials are incredibly resistant to environmental damage. Brick and stone structures can withstand extreme weather conditions including high winds, heavy rain, and fluctuating temperatures without deteriorating. Also, it has a longer lifespan than many other materials. Well-maintained masonry buildings can last for centuries. This makes masonry an excellent investment for those looking for a long-term, low-maintenance solution. Second is fire resistance. Masonry is inherently fire resistant, making it a safer choice for homes and commercial buildings. Brick and stone do not burn or contribute to the spread of fire. This added layer of protection can help prevent extensive damage in the event of a fire and may even lower insurance costs. Isang example dito ay ang firewall. A firewall is a fire-resistant wall designed to prevent the spread of fire within a building, allowing occupants time to evacuate and preventing structural collapse. The third is thermal mass. Masonry materials offer superior thermal mass, meaning they absorb, store, and gradually release heat. This helps regulate indoor temperatures, keeping buildings cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. As a result, masonry structures require less energy for heating and cooling, leading to lower utility bills and increased energy efficiency. Masonry creates a more stable indoor environment. This can be especially beneficial in regions with extreme temperature fluctuations as it helps maintain consistent comfort levels inside the building. So the number 4 advantage is low maintenance. Masonry structures require significantly less maintenance. Masonry only requires occasional cleaning and repointing of mortar joints to maintain its appearance and structural integrity. Though masonry construction can have a higher initial cost, its longevity and low maintenance requirements make it a cost-effective choice in the long run. Homeowners save money on repairs, replacements, and energy costs over the lifespan of the building, making masonry a smart financial investment. Number 5 is aesthetic versatility. Brick, stone, and concrete masonry offer timeless beauty and design flexibility. Masonry maintains its classic appeal for generations. Whether used for traditional homes, modern commercial buildings, or historic restorations, masonry can be tailored to suit various architectural styles. Masonry also comes in a wide range of colors, textures, and finishes, allowing for customization that enhances a building's curb appeal. Masonry's natural beauty remains intact with minimal upkeep. So, number 6 is sound insulation. Masonry provides excellent sound insulation compared to wood or metal structures. The density of brick and stone absorbs sound waves, reducing noise transmission from outside sources such as traffic, construction, or loud neighbors. This makes masonry ideal for urban environments, multi-family residences, and commercial buildings where noise control is important. Lastly, it is moisture resistance. The dense and watertight nature of masonry materials safeguards structures and ensure its long-lasting durability. Although relative humidity can influence moisture levels to some extent, the acceptable moisture levels in masonry vary. But generally, a moisture content below 20% is considered safe for indoor brick walls. For exposed brickwork and concrete, 5% is a standard moisture content. Internal brickwork and concrete typically have lower acceptable levels with 1% and 3% respectively. It was according to CIBSE Guide A Environmental Design. Masonry work excels in resisting moisture, preventing issues like mold and decay. This moisture resistance reduces the need for extensive maintenance and repairs, providing peace of mind.
After nating pag-usapan ng advantages, dako naman tayo sa mga disadvantages ng masonry construction. Kahit matibay at common ito sa mga buildings, may mga kahinaan din na kailangan nating tandaan. Una, high initial cost. Medyo mahal talaga ang masonry constructions kasi mahal ang materials at skilled labor. Kailangan kasi ng mga taong marunong magtayo ng maayos gamit ang bricks o concrete blocks. Halimbawa, kung magpapagawa ka ng bahay na masonry ang gamit, mas malaki ang kailangan mong budget kumpara sa wood frame na bahay. Second, labor intensity. Ibig sabihin, mas matrabaho siyang gawin. Kailangan ng specialized workers kasi bawat brick o block, isa-isa nilalagay at tinitemplahan ng mortar. Kapag hindi maayos ang pagkakagawa, pwedeng magka-problema sa stability. At dahil labor-intensive, mas matagal din matapos ang construction. Next is weight and foundation requirements. Mabigat ang masonry structures. Dahil dito, kailangan ng mas malalim at matibay na pundasyon. Halimbawa, kung mahina ang lupa sa area mo, baka kailangan pang i-reinforce ang foundation, which means dagdag gastos at effort. Next is moisture absorption. Kahit matibay ang bricks, hindi sila totally waterproof. Kung walang proper waterproofing, pwedeng pumasok ang moisture sa walls at magdulot ng mold o kaya humina ang structure, lalo na sa mga lugar na maulan o may mataas na humidity. Next is susceptibility to cracking. Kapag may movement sa lupa o stress sa structure, madaling mag-crack ang masonry kasi mahina ang tensile strength nito. Kapag di agad naayos, pwedeng lumaki yung crack at makaapekto sa buong building. Lastly, limited flexibility. Ang masonry ay rigid. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya basta-basta nag-a-adjust sa movement kaya ng wood o steel.
Kaya hindi ito ideal sa earthquake-prone areas kung walang reinforcement. Delikado kasi baka bigla na lang mabasag o bumuho. So, yun yung mga disadvantages ng masonry construction. Kahit maraming benefits ang masonry, kailangan natin consider yung mga disadvantages na ito para makagawa ng maganda at safe na construction decisions.